Assalamu alaikum guys, this is me Muhammad Kamar. Welcome back to my channel, and once again finally today is our day 21 and we are back to the Python's tutorial which we have started from W3Schools website. And finally today is day 21 and we are going to learn about functions in Python. What is function and how it works and what it do. So we will learn it uh, in full details completely today inshallah. So yeah, let's start the video without wasting time. So first of all we have to make the day 21 uh, folder here in my VS Code. So day 21, and then I have to make a file. You know that I give a number to the file, which today is I guess 63. Yes, 63. Okay, so 63. Then Python functions. Python functions.py is an extension for Python file, and then write in the subject of my file, which is functions in Python, right? Of course, functions in Python, and then name of the author, which is of course this. Then today's date is 16th August and 16th August and 2025. Make it comment and then write in the code below. So let's start a tutorial. A function is a block of code which only runs when it is called. So a function is a block of code which only runs when it is called, otherwise it will not run. And loops are a block of code which runs multiple times, right? So just like the loops, functions are also a block of code, and they only runs when they are called. Okay, so you can pass data known as parameters. So we give data to the function which we call parameters into a function. Okay, so the data that we pass through a function is called parameters. A function can return data as a result, and the result we get from a function, we actually, instead of printing it, we return it from the function. So the function can return the data as a result. Okay, the result that we give to the function, the function perform some operations on the data and then return a result to us. Okay, so first of all, for creating a function in Python, a function is defined. Okay, so in Python, we, for the creation of a function, we use the word define. So we define a function by using the def, or short form of define keyword. Okay, so define keyword, def keyword, and then we write. So here, as usual, the W3Schools website is giving us an example that we are using a def keyword, and then the name of the function, then parentheses, then colon, and then code block. We want to write the code goes here, and this is called the scope of the function. Okay, scope of the function. After colon, anything we write inside it is called, after some indentation, right, we call it the scope of this function. Similar, just like the scope of loops, just like the scope of if-else statements. Okay, so first of all, let's make an example function, right? An example function, and example of function, and let's make it comment. Come on, man. Okay, so how we make a function? First of all, we have to write the def keyword, then anything we write here. Suppose I am writing here as anything. Let's say I am writing comment. Okay, and this is the name of my function, and as you can see the color, this is where the IDEs helps us, the virtual environments help us in getting the point of what each thing is. So the keywords in Python language are here in the purple colors, and the functions are in the red color. Here you can see, right? So just like the print function, we have used the print function so many times, right? The pass is a keyword we use when we do not want to write anything. Print is also a function, so here you can see print also has parentheses, and the color of the print is also red. So this is what we call a function. This is also a function, so I am not giving it a comma, and I am going to give it a name as my function. Okay, my function. And then I am giving it some data like print what, print hello world. Suppose I am giving it hello world. Okay, hello world. Okay, and then I am running it, but it will give me nothing because it will only run if I call this function. So how we can call a function and how we do things around it, we will learn it uh, soon in this tutorial, but this is how we make a function. So this is a complete function, and it will run only when we call it. Okay, yeah. So calling a function, how we call a function, here we will learn to call a function, use the function name followed by parentheses. So we will use the name of the function, which is here my function, and then use the parentheses, and this is what we call the collation of the function. Okay, so this is my function, and yeah, then use these two parentheses, and yes, I am right now calling this function. If I run it, here you can see hello world is printing here. I can write something else also, hello world, and then or something else like subscribe to my channel. Right now I am running it. Here you can see it is running these two lines, hello world and subscribe to my channel. Okay, so this is how we call a function. Okay, let's go ahead. What is argument, or what are arguments? Information can be passed into functions as arguments. So this is some data that a function is already containing, or a function already have, but sometime, not sometime, but always a function do not have a data. We give it a data from outside. So now we will learn about these things. Information can be passed in a function as arguments. So the information we pass through a function, we call it as arguments. Okay, arguments are specified after the function name. So after a function name, we specify some arguments, and these arguments are placed or put inside the parentheses that we have put in front of the or after the name of the function. You can add as many arguments as you want and just separate them by comma. So by separating the words or the arguments using comma, we can use as many arguments as we want or as we wish. So the following example has a function with one argument, fname. When the function is called, we pass along a first name, which is used inside the function to print the hello, to print the full name. Okay, so here is define my function, then we are writing the first name and print first name, plus we are writing something else, and anyone if you write something here will be printed like. Okay, so here is the thing that if you make an argument, okay, they are actually giving a note here. Arguments are often shortened to args in Python documentation. Okay, it is something else that we use here sometime. Arguments are called args, okay, in Python documentation they are shortened as args. But this is something else I was talking about, that when you write here something, then you cannot directly call, just like I'm calling it here and just using the function name and parentheses, and it is calling, right? It is getting called and it is giving us some return in output. But if I write something here, then directly I cannot execute these line of codes. Here you can see it is giving, like, here they are giving nothing in these parentheses, but here you can see they are writing Emil, Tobias, Linus, etc., and many things else. So here I'm going to make another function. First of all, I have to make it as a comment, and then I am making another function as let's suppose first of all I have to write the def keyword, then name of my function. So I'm writing another function as, let's suppose I am print name, or let's say name. Okay, I am giving it a random name, and then I am writing that f name as an argument. Okay, it is an argument, and then I am using the colon to make the scope of this function, and then I am writing that print f name plus let's suppose, as here in Muslim society we use the word Muhammad for everyone's name. Before everyone's name we use the word Muhammad, so I will give it space, some space here, so that it will give some space, and then the plus option, and then the first name we actually use. Before the first name we sometimes use the Muhammad word. Okay, Muhammad name. Okay, so then I am going to call my function as say name, and then giving it a name as Ali. It could be Ali, it can be Umar, it can be anything. All right, it can be something else like first Umair or something else, and I'm removing this. All right, now I am calling it, and here you can see it is running as Muhammad Ali, Muhammad Umar, Muhammad Umair, and so on. Okay, so this is what. So if I don't give it a value like this, here you can see, let's say I'm commenting it, and then I'm calling my function and just running it. Here you can see that it is giving us an error called type error, that, and it, as I have already told you, that Python is so clever that it knows what we are actually doing the wrong, and it guide us that you are doing something wrong here. So it says that the surname missing one required positional argument f name. So we have to give a value for the f name, or short form of first name. So that's why I am writing here the a name of, so, or, and one thing more is that you can see I am calling the same function 3 times. So from here what we are actually learning is that we can call a function as many times as we want. Okay, you can call a function as many times as you want. I am calling it right now at 3 times, and every time I'm giving it different data, and it is giving me the same result according to my data. Hope so you got the point. Let's make it comment, and yeah, let's go ahead. So this is what we have already read. Now let's move ahead. Parameters or arguments. So actually there are two things, parameters and arguments. So what is the difference between parameter and argument? Let's learn about it. The term parameter and argument can be used for the same thing. Okay, so parameter and argument are the two terms that can be used for the same thing, as which means that information that are passed into a function. So the information that is called or passed through a function could be called parameter, or also as argument. Okay, from function's perspective, a parameter, but from a function's perspective, a parameter is a variable listed inside the parentheses in the function definition. So when we are defining a function, so the arguments we are creating, or the variables we are creating inside the parentheses, we call them as parameters. Parameters from parentheses. So the variables, actually they are variables, this is actually a variable. and I am storing this value inside this variable, and here I am calling this variable plus another string, right? So it is a variable, and this variable is created inside a parenthesis, right? So this is why this variable is now called as it is inside the parenthesis, so it is called parameter. Okay, and an argument is the value that is sent to the function when it is called. So when I am calling a function and giving it a value, this value that I want to store inside this variable, so this value is called argument. So this is argument, and this variable created inside parentheses are called will be called as parameter. Okay, so number of arguments, how many number of arguments can we make? So by default a function must be called with the correct number of arguments. So first thing is that a function, uh, we have to know that what are the numbers of parameters that a function is containing. So the according to the number of parameters we can give the number of arguments to the function, meaning that if your function expects two arguments, you have to call the function with the two arguments, not more, not less. Hope so you got the point. This function as this function this function is uh, expecting one argument only, as I have shown you in the last error, right? But now I'm going to make another function as, let's say, full name. I am making a function called full name, naming it as full name, and then inside it I am making two parameters as first name comma last name, and then colon to make the scope of this function. Then I am printing f name, then giving some space, then the last name. All right, now I am calling my function as full name, and then I have to see, or like look there, how many parameters my function has. So as it has two parameters, so I have to pass two arguments. Let's say I am passing only one argument. Okay, and now I am running it. So you will see that the Python is again giving us an error, as full name is missing one required positional argument, last name. Let's say I am giving 0 arguments to this function, then what will this function, or this the error will say? It says that two required positional arguments. Okay, so it means that we have to give the number of arguments which are equal to the number of parameters. So I'm saying it as first name. Let's say my first name is Muhammad, and then I will use the comma, and then I will use the last name as Qamar, and when I print it, you can see it is printing as Muhammad Qamar. Okay, similarly I can give it as many names as I want, and it will do the same thing every time I run it. Okay, all right. If you try to call a function with 1 or 3 arguments, you will get an error, as we have already seen it in the just the previous example. Arbitrary arguments or args. So if you do not know how many arguments that will be passed into your function, add asterisk before the parameter name in the function definition. This way the function will receive a tuple of arguments and can access the items accordingly. Okay, so define my function. We are actually okay, if the number of function or the number of arguments is unknown, add asterisk or the star before the parameter name. This is my parameter, and they are using asterisk symbol here. Then print the youngest child is plus kid number 2, let's say. So it is writing as Emil, then Tobias, then Linus, and then Linus or Linus is the, as it is writing the last, so that's why it is the last name as 1 2 3. So on the third name 0 1 2, it is the youngest child, so it will print like this. Okay, so here they don't know, the user don't actually the programmer don't know how many arguments will the user pass, so he is using the argument, the arguments with the asterisk sign here. Okay, let's say, so if you don't know how many arguments will the user pass, you will have to use the star option, and this is called asterisk, right? And then anything you want, like let's say I am using the word kid, and then print I am let's say I am using the youngest child is, then using the plus sign after it, and then I am using the kids and using the -1. So -1 means that the last kid will be the youngest. Okay, okay, so I am using my function, then passing. So how I can pass the values, I can pass it normally. Okay, so I am using as, let's say 1, then let's say second name, this is going to be the third name, and this is I am giving it 4 names, okay, instead of 3 names, and then this is going to be the last name. So this is the youngest child, and it should be written here. Okay, so here you can see that the Python is giving us the exact result that we want. So this is how we use the function, and we use the star option here, as I am giving as many arguments as I want, and the Python is doing its work very good. Okay, so arbitrary arguments are often shortened to, okay, this is the, again, that we use for arbitrary arguments, we use the star symbol or sign here before our arguments in Python documentations. Okay, keyword arguments, you can also send arguments with the key value syntax. This way the order of the argument does not matter. Okay, so here it matters, right? The last is the youngest child, not the first, not the second. So but what if a person put it randomly, like the youngest in the first and the oldest, or the elder or the oldest in the last, or something else? So for this we use the keyword arguments. What keyword arguments do is that, first of all, we make a function and then give it values, as you can see that it is child 3, child 2, child 1, but it means nothing when you use the key values, like the key arguments, so keyword arguments. Okay, so let's make it, but here one thing more I want to do is that I will give some more space here so that it will be easy for me and you to see which is the part of which code block, right? I'm making another function as this function, and then giving it value as child 1 comma child 2 comma child 3, and then printing the youngest child is, it should be child 3, I guess, right? Child 3. Okay, here let's see. Yes, it is child 3. But what the user is gonna do is that this function, and then he is going to use it like child 3 is equals to let's say it is going to be as this. Okay, it is the youngest child. Then we have the child 2, who is elder than the child 3 and named Umar. Okay, and then another child is, let's say he is Haris. Okay, and then I'm running it. Here you can see the youngest child is still Ali, as even though I am writing is it in the first number, but it is still the youngest child. So this is how the keyword arguments works. The phrase keyword arguments are often shortened as KW, keyword and arguments in Python documentation. Arbitrary keyword arguments are also can also be made as we use then the double instead of single steric. We use double steric signs, and it means that it is a keyword argument, not a simple argument. Okay, if you do not know how many keyword arguments that will be passed into your function, add two asterisk before the parameter name in the function definition. This way, the function will receive a dictionary of arguments and can access the items accordingly. Okay. Example: if the number of arguments. Okay, so what we have to do is just write the double asterisk signs, and yeah, that's it. So let's make it happen. Okay, first of all I have to write the definition function def, and then this underscore function, and then I'm using the double asterisk signs, and then I am going to use the anything. Let's say I'm going to use the kids again. This time print the youngest child, or kid is the youngest, right? Kid is whom is going to be the it's going to be who is going to be last name. Okay, okay, his last name. Okay, it is giving us as last name. Let's say we say the youngest, we give a y. Okay, y, and then value of y, I guess, not value of y, but we will use the kid and then value of y for youngest. Okay, and then not kid but kids. This function then giving it value as, let's say uh, oldest is a, and giving it value is this, then b is another, and let's say it is Harry. Then let's say the youngest is y, and we give it value as Umar. Okay, now I print it. I hope so it will not give me an error. Y is not defined. Okay, y not defined. Okay, last name like this. Okay, I have to use it inside the uh, quotation marks, then run it, and here you can see that the youngest child is Umar. Okay, hope so you got the point. Okay, arbitrary arguments are used like that. Okay, the default parameter value. The following example shows how to use default parameter value. If we call the function without argument, it uses the default value. So sometime a user cannot give the value, but we still want our function to work correctly. So here what we call and what we make is that we made some default parameters. Okay, I'm making another block of code as define a function, and this is, let's say, country finder. Okay, country finder, and then giving it a value as country equals to, let's say it is Pakistan. Okay, and then I am writing it as print I am from country. Okay, not counter but country. All right, now let's say someone wrote here as I am from, let's say someone says that I am from Norway. Another person is not from Norway, he is from, let's say, New Zealand. New Zealand, right? I hope that my spellings is okay. And then another person is, let's say, from Iran. Okay, and another person is that who is writing nothing. If someone give, even though I have told you that when we have parameters we have to pass some arguments, but here we are not using just a parameter, we are using a parameter called default parameter. So it already had a value of Pakistan. So if someone do not give an argument, it will just give as a result this argument, this is as an output. Okay, but if someone give an argument, so this argument will replace this parameter. So let's run it. Here you can see the first is from Norway, the second is from New Zealand, the third is from Iran, and the last from Pakistan, which we do not have written anything, but it is still, instead of giving us an error, it is giving us an output and a correct output, right? Passing a list as an argument. So you can send any data type of argument to a function, string, list, number, dictionary, etc., and will be treated as the same data type inside the function. For example, if you send a list of an argument, it will be a list when it reaches the function. Okay, so define my function food for x in food print x. Okay, so we are making a function, and inside a function we are making a loop, right? Function is what we call this function. We will see it here. My function it is still calling it my function. This time I am calling it the function. Okay, and then what I can do is that food is a parameter. Then instead of printing it, I am using a loop for I in food print I. Okay, and then I am calling my function that the function, and then inside it I am calling it as fruits. We do not have fruits, so first of all we have to make fruits variable. Inside it I am storing apple, I can store banana, I can store cherry, I can store as orange, I can store mango, right? Okay, so when I run it, you can see that my function is working correctly on this list, right? Okay, so return values. So here is the main function. A main thing that we have to read about a function is to let a function return a value, use the return statement. So define my function, and then it is x could be any value, and then this will return a value of, then it will multiply the x value with the 5 or any number that you want. Okay, first of all you have to make it as comment, then define another function as what we can call this function is, okay, they are again calling it as function, so we are also going to function the function, and then inside it what I want to do is that okay, x. Okay, this time we are using a parameter x, then return 10 multiplied by x value. Okay, so what is the value of x? We are going to give it a value as, let's say, 5, and it will print nothing, but as it will print nothing because it is returning the value again to this, and we can get the result from here by printing this function print. Okay, and run it, and here you can see it is giving us a value of 50. All right, the pass statement. So we have already studied about the pass statement, so we are not going to read this positional only argument. You can specify that a function can have only positional argument or only keyword argument. To specify the function can have only positional argument, add this forward slash, okay, add comma and then forward slash after the arguments. What this the positional argument means is that you have to give the value according to the position of the parameter. So if a parameter is in the first number, we have to give the value in the first number we want to give to the specified parameter. So for to specify that a function is only for positional argument, we have to use the forward slash after comma. Without the after comma forward slash, you are actually allowed to use keyword arguments even if the function expects positional arguments. Okay, and but when adding the comma forward slash, you will get an error if you try to send a keyword argument. Okay, and then keyword only arguments. So for keyword only argument, we can make this function like to specify that a function can only have keyword arguments, add steric before the arguments. Okay, steric comma before the arguments, and then it will become the the keyword arguments. Combine positional only and keyword only arguments. You can combine the two arguments types in the same function. You can combine two arguments types in the same function. Okay, we can combine both. Okay, argument, any argument before this means forward slash are positional arguments, and any argument after the steric sign are keyword only arguments. Okay, here you can see the AB are positional arguments and CD are keyword arguments. Okay, recursion. Python also accepts function recursion, which means a defined function can call itself. Recursion is a common mathematical and programming concept. Okay, recursion is a common mathematical and programming concept. It means that a function calls itself. This has the benefit of meaning that you can loop through data to reach a result. The developer should be very careful with recursion, as it can be quite easy to slip into writing a function which never terminates, or one that uses excess amount of memory or processor power. However, when written correctly, recursion can be very efficient and mathematically elegant approach to programming. Is in this example, try recursion is a function that we have defined to call itself recurse. We use the k variable as the data, which decrements -1 every time we recurse. The recursion ends when the condition is not greater than 0. It means when it is 0. To a new developer, it can take some time to work out how exactly this works, but best way to find out this is by testing and modifying it. Okay, so what they are doing here is that recursion example defining a function and k is a variable to get data. If k is greater than 0, result k plus try recursion k -1. then print the result, or print the result else result is equals to 0. Result, if it is greater, we will be storing the data inside the result and printing the result. But when it is not greater than 0, it is the result is equals to 0, and it will return the result. Okay, and one thing more is that we always use the return keyword in the last of the function. Okay, not in between or not in heads. So print recursion example results and try recursion 6. Okay, that's it. So let's try it one time by ourselves, as it is something new for me and for you as well. Okay, define try recurse, and then giving a value as k as a variable. Then if k is greater than 0, okay, do what? Result equals to k plus try recurse k minus 1, and printing the result, right? Print the result. Else result equals to 0, and what we will do is that return the result, or do what? Yes, return the result. Return result, and then we are calling our function as try recursion actually, and then giving it value as 6 and printing it. Print recursion example requirements result of recursion example result. Print recursion example result. Run it, and here you can see it is printing as 1, 3, 6, 10, 15, and 21. I don't know what is it, but yeah, they have told us. So let's try it yourself. We will try this one. We are getting the same result here also, but we don't know what it means right now. So just for now, we will just do it and ask nothing about it. What is the correct keyword for defining function in Python? We will use the def function. Okay, submit our answer. Next question. Create a function, my function. So first of all, define my function, parenthesis, and that's it. My function, right? Function. Submit it. Next. Execute a function named my function. Okay, my function, and like this. All right. Wrong answer. Come on, man. Why? My function, my underscore function. What did I did wrong? Maybe I left the comma there. Inside a function with 2 parameters, print the first parameter. Inside the function with 2 parameter, print the first parameter. Print fname. Next. Let the function returns x parameter plus 5. Return, okay, return, not print. Okay, return x plus 5 plus 5, right? Next. If you do not know the number of, okay, we will use just the static sign. Yeah, that's it. Next, if you do not know, okay, we will just use double straights, nothing else. All right, close this exercise, click on the next button, and yeah, here we go to the some advanced stuff. And lambda is also a function. Actually, have we have listened the name of lambda so many times, and today we are going to learn about it. So yeah, instead of learning today, we will keep it for tomorrow. So today, for today, that's it is which we have done about the functions. Hope so you like the video, and make sure to subscribe to my channel and share it with other people who do you think will be interested in such type of content. See you in the next video. Allah Hafiz.